The rules of NRC are different for men and women. You get 500 points.
Yes. Just like Modi.
Your mom doesn't watch YouTube.
Then I can tell you two jokes.
Arrange these in the right order. The Vivek Oberoi movie, Prime Minister Modi. Modi, Journey of a Common Man, the web series. Prime Minister Modi, the biography. And Bal Narendra, the comic book or graphic novel. With a lot of graphic content.
There's four. Just like Modi.
We have comic, biography, movie, web series.
Biography, comic book, movie, and then web series.
We have biography, comic book, movie and web series.
This is like that Spider-Man meme.
We have Modi the biography, then Modi the comic book, then Modi the movie, and then Modi the web series.
Interestingly, we left out one important piece of popular culture around Narendra Modi, which is the Man vs. Wild Bear Grylls episode. Who else do you know has acted in Man vs. Wild?
Rajnikant.
Rajni is doing one right now.
Rajnikant is shooting one.
And Akshay Kumar is shooting one.
And
I mean,
Akshay Kumar is
Rajnikant is done with the shooting, and Akshay Kumar is also done with the shooting.
I have an objection to that. Akshay Kumar is not Indian, so he's wrong. Please do that.
Trick question.
He's shooting this in Canada, so it's...
No, he's shooting it in Karnataka.
So, interestingly, none of you got it right. None of you know Modi ji very well. No. The fact is, some of you got partially right. I think team 1 came close. Diwani came close to this. The comic book did come first. The biography came next. The biography was written by a man named Andy Marino. And a lot of the comic book, interestingly, is based on the same stories that are mentioned in the biography as well.
Does the biography have the wrestling crocodile scene?
Yes, interestingly. Can you tell us about the crocodile incident, please?
Oh God, no, I just remember seeing this comic strip where he essentially goes and I forget because there are two stories. One is he wrestles a crocodile and the other is he brings a baby crocodile home and then his mother says, how would you like to be separated from your mother? And then he bursts into tears and says never and goes and chucks it into the river again.
Or they crocodile tears.
So this was a Man vs. Wild, no?
This is the original Man vs. Wild. This is where Steve Irwin got the idea for his show, Crocodile Hunter.
So they're both crocodile hunters.
Yes.
Modi and Steve Irwin. So absolutely right. Comic book came out in 2014. The biography by Andy Marino came out in 2015. Modi, the web series, Journey of a Common Man, came out in April 2019. And because of censorship troubles, Modi, the movie, came out in May 2019. So the correct order is comic book, biography, web series, and then finally the movie. Right? The interesting fact about the crocodile incident, right, is that in the biography, what it says is that there was a lake in the village in which Modi was growing up, which had baby crocodiles, right? And he had a task where he had to swim to a particular smaller island where he had to grab something and come back. And he swam through that lake. That's all the fact, what is written in the biography. The comic book made into a nice masala story where he picks up crocodiles and punches them and, beats them up and things like that and comes back, right? And that's how the story evolved and that's how this myth of, Narendra Modi beating up crocodiles came about from.
That was probably the masala left from the chai.
Interestingly, this book has been recommended by the Madhya Pradesh government to be taught to class 8 and class 9 students.
The comic book?
The comic book. The rules of NRC, again as per what was carried out in Assam, are different for men and women. Fake news or fact?
Something about different rules in NRC.
Fact. All of you agree. 50 points to all of you. You're absolutely right. One of the documents listed in the list B, which is the documents for your parents, includes the village panchayat secretary certificate or the circle officer certificate for married women alone. Dr. Ambedkar wrote the Constitution of India. 50 points to all of you, absolutely right. Who literally wrote the Constitution of India? Does anybody know?
S.N. Mukherjee.
Yeah.
I think Prem something Bihari was he basically single-handedly wrote the entire constitution. in Hindi and English.
I don't know the exact name, but it was a calligrapher.
So you just agree with her. That's your value
I
idea.
concur.
We're just friends.
Right, I'm only 50 points to Team Divane. You're absolutely right. The man's name was Prem Bihari Naren Raizada. He's the man who literally wrote the Indian Constitution. He was a calligrapher. Nehru approached him to ask him to handwrite the entire Constitution in a flowing italic style. Right? Nehru asked him how much would he charge for the job, and Prem Bihari said, "Not a single penny. By the grace of God, I have all things and I'm quite happy with my life. But I have one reservation, that on every page of the Constitution, I will write my name, and on the last page, I will write my name along with my grandfather's name." So Prem Bihari Naren Razeda's name is actually written on every page of the Indian Constitution. Right? You're absolutely right. I'll give you 50 points for knowing the fact that there are many artists who illustrated every single page of each of the articles of the Constitution. So the preamble and the 22 articles, each of them have an illustration on top. What do you think the illustration shows?
Plants and creepers, yes.
Hold on.
Not plants and creepers.
Elephant.
No.
I know this is different.
Those pages are not in this document.
There are some pictures from epics.
Yes.
And there's, I think, Tipu Sultan is somewhere. And there's one of Mickey Mouse, I think. I'm not
So basically just like historical scenes from the country or
His favorite scenes from around the world?
His favorite scenes from around the world.
around the world in 80
It's not a Facebook call.
I'm pretty sure I've spotted animals and plants.
Animals, and I think it is in whatever is pictured in around Shantiniketan, because I think the artists
The
were
art
from
style is
So
from
many of the
Shantiniketan.
artists were from Shantiniketan, including Nandlal Bose and his students. I'll give 50 points to Team Divane. It essentially charts out the entire history of India from the times of Mohenjo-daro civilization all the way to the freedom struggle. Right? Each of those illustrations, including Tipu Sultan.
Well, unfortunately, I think the Karnataka government is not too happy with Tipu Sultan right now, but he's there in the constitution, which I find. And one of the interesting things I see is that somebody is talking about how the Indian constitution also takes things from the American constitution. Very interestingly, the American national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, has a direct reference to Tipu Sultan.
How?
So there's a line where it says, when I see the rockets blazing, that's like, there's a line. He was amazed by this because this is the first time he has seen in a war these particular rockets being used in warfare against the Americans.
Cannon.
And those rockets were developed by the Brits after seeing Tipu Sultan's Mysore rockets.
Correct.
So basically, whenever somebody sings that line, it's basically saying, okay, the guy in Mysore did it before us, but it's
I
there.
have a small thing to add there. The line in the NASA headquarters, there is one painting which is of the scene that you're describing, where there is an explosion and a British soldier is being thrown off his horse, and there are lots of lights and everything. That was a painting done by a British artist after Tipu Sultan's rockets attacked the battalion. And NASA was so inspired by the usage of rocket technology back in the day that they bought the painting and it hangs in their headquarters.
Wow.
And the line in the national anthem is inspired by that painting which hangs there, and all the
very
story
cool.
like that.
So it was a hat tipple.
he had the original standard fireworks.
My favorite state, Kerala. What did the people of Calicut do in January 2020 last month when they had things like nutmeg a Nazi, shootout for democracy, shirt swap challenge, and dribble past fascism?
Was this different types of cocktails and toddy, which you, every time you say that word and like, shoot it back?
Just because it's from Kerala, it doesn't mean it's all about toddy and alcohol.
Whether dishes something to do with beef.
Nothing to do with beef, alcohol. What are the other stereotypes?
Both was the same.
They all sound like football terminologies.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to say, they nutmeg a Nazi, basically kicking the ball between the feet of a BJP supporter or something.
Okay, I think follow-up. I think
He's in your own. He's in your team. You're on the same team, guys.
So I think so. Adding to what he said, I think these are chants during the Kerala Blasters ISL game, maybe. To
That is
say
completely wrong. Because he was going to get
Minus 50.
interrupting your teammate and giving the wrong answer. Yeah, you are on the right track.
So basically nutmegging is basically, okay, you've got the defender, you have the ball, and then you kick the ball between the feet of the player, and then you just pass around him. So that's a nutmeg. The other one was dribble pass. So basically dribbling is you do a trick with the ball and then you move past the defender.
Right.
Shootout. So I think that's probably alluding to a penalty kick or a penalty shootout.
Right.
And what was the fourth one?
Shirt swap challenge.
Shirt swap. That's basically after you finish, you swap
jerseys,
your jerseys with the opponent. So I don't think they would want to do that with a BJP guy or a Nazi, but yeah.
Fair enough. We'll give you 50 points. You could have got 100 points if you with the wrong answer. You're absolutely right. The citizens of Calicut essentially had a football match organized by an organization called Collective Phase 1, along with Maharaja's College Students Union and Streets of Calicut. It was a football match with special anti-CAA protest games, and for example, nutmegging a Nazi. Nutmegging is essentially, like Manasveer explained, it's when you pass a ball through the legs of your opponent. Do you know where the word comes from? Why would you call it nutmeg?
Nuts.
And probably has something to do with Meg from Family Guy.
They narrowly escape hitting someone's nuts.
Yeah.
Is it from the nutmeg itself, the way it looks, because there are two nuts and a twig in the middle?
No, it is from the actual nutmeg. So apparently nutmegs used to be a highly priced commodity in the 1800s, and people used to run scams where they'll sort of use wooden pieces and make it look like nutmegs and send it out. So if you were duped by somebody or deceived by somebody, you were called, you were referred to as nutmegged by someone. So that's essentially what nutmegging is in football. So nutmeg a Nazi, shootout for democracy, shirt swap challenge, and dribble pass fascism were all different games inside this football match in January 2020 in Calicut.
When I used to live in Hamburg, I used to visit the second league team called St. Pauli. I was quite active in left-wing politics, so I think it's one of those things that just brought about a change in me personally. Like, I moved from being a centrist to a full-on left-wing guy. Mom,
Your mom doesn't watch YouTube.
don't watch this.
Wait. Before lifting, were you forward?
No, I was defender. Central defensive.
But I remember reading a few months back that in Liverpool, since Mo Salah joined Liverpool, the incidence of Islamophobia and racism among Liverpool supporters have actually come down.
Wow.
So they're talking about how sports can make a difference to attitudes among fan bases. So it's a really cool.
Yeah, and it's just not Liverpool. Like, you look at Celtic Glasgow, St. Pauli, you look at even Frankfurt. Even Frankfurt recently, they banned supporters of the right-wing German party called AfD. They said, you guys are not welcome here because of your hate politics and all that. So sports goes a long way into protecting human rights as well. I mean, we only hear about how teams in Italy are being racist against Africans or all that, but there are movements going on within clubs as well and within leagues as well.
And the fact that the racism is addressed in itself is pretty huge. So,
Going back to 19th century Indian politics, what did an IPS officer, Raj Ratna Debo, create in 1861 to help tackle crime in the state of Baroda, for which he received a gold medal from the Maharaja Gaikwad? Yes.
Byomkesh Pakshi.
Where is Byomkesh? Geography question, not history.
No, I mean the IPS officer sounded Bengali, so I thought Byomkesh Bakshi.
Because he was debonair.
He must be Mallu.
Was this the beginning of the CBI?
Not the beginning of the CBI, good guess. He was trying to tackle crime.
Special task force.
Avengers.
Avengers, not Avengers.
CID.
a database of like
Not a
criminals
database.
or-
Was he like a Batman? Like vigilante?
Vigilante. So let me ask you a basic question. What is IPS in 1860s? What does IPS stand for?
Indian
Police
Police
Service.
No, but there was no Indian police.
Of course,
service.
it is a British.
Yeah, so what is it? What does IPS stand for?
Imperial.
Imperial Police. I'll give you 20 points for knowing that much. At least basic English, if not geography. IPS was Imperial Police Service, right? So what do you think he created in 1861? Something that's very relevant today in
the penal
context.
code. The Indian Penal Code.
Not the penal code.
The
I got it.
Mounted Police.
Not the mounted police.
Section 144.
Section 144, right? 100 points to you. So Section 144 was created in 1861 by this police officer, Raj Ratna Debo, who created it because he was trying to tackle large incidents of crime at that point of time, and the Maharaja Gaikwad gave him a gold medal for this, right? So the person who created Section 144 got a gold medal from the Maharaja Gaikwad.
Also, like
Did he
the
get it with more than 4 people around? Or?
Moving on to the next question. Which Indian law was ironically inspired by an act that the British created to counter the Quit India movement?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I'm going to say the sedition provision in the IPC, It was initially put in place by the British because they didn't want freedom fighters speaking up and eliciting like this national consciousness among Indians, but it continues till today.
Not exactly. So anti-sedition law does have some origins in tackling freedom struggle, but let me tell you what specifically happened. So 8th August 1942, Mahatma Gandhi launched the Quit India movement. 15th August 1942, ironically 15th August, Lord Linlithgow, the Viceroy of India, implemented an ordinance to suppress it. Nehru used this ordinance as a basis many years later, 1958, to create a famous act. Yes.
Is it the preventive detention thing?
Not the preventive detention.
The UAP,
sorry.
AFSPA.
Yeah.
The AFSPA is right? Can you expand AFSPA?
It's the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and in certain territories, the forces, police forces or the armed forces have certain extra powers than they do in the mainland. Not as many checks and balances that the CRPC and IPC put in place.
Absolutely. They have a vague definition called disturbed areas. So as long as that area is disturbed, then there are special powers that are granted to the armed forces to maintain public order, and that has led to the abuse of power by armed forces, especially in states like Manipur.
Correct.
And Kashmir. There's actually a very powerful scene in the film Haider where he references AFSPA, and I'm not going to give, I think people should just watch that scene because it's, Shahid Kapoor has surprisingly done a very good job.
ये होता है चुत्स्पा, बेशरम गुस्ताख जैसे अफ्स्पा.
So there's this constitutional lawyer called Gautam Bhatia who's written a book on the constitution now. And one of the things that he points out in the book is that one of the reasons people think that the constitution is actually a continuation of British laws rather than a reinterpretation of law for India is because it's retained a lot of these colonial oppressive laws and just kind of transferred them wholesale into present day India. And it's ironic because a lot of the people in the Constituent Assembly and just the early lawmakers of India were people who would have been affected by these laws or who would have been subject to arrest or detention under these laws in British times.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it shows to retain them in the Indian Penal Code. Include up to
Isn't
today.
Section 377 also one of them?
Absolutely.
Most of our laws were actually based.
Those come under the IPC, so it was not technically amended for the constitution. It has been existing since 1860. They just chose to not to repeal it and continue with a new law.
For the last few questions, let's make things a little more interesting and unfair. We'll give you 500 points for getting it right and minus 500 for getting it wrong.
Awesome.
Right? The next question, what were whisper jokes? Yes, Vaidi.
So, in Nazi Germany,
Yes.
so there was this underground comedy movement. So people wanted to vent, they wanted to stick it to the totalitarian regime of Hitler. So there were these jokes going around which was against Hitler and the SS. One of the jokes was, there was this comedian in Munich actually who made this joke. He ordered paintings of Hitler and his friends, and when the paintings were delivered to him, he was like, should we hang them or put them against the wall? So that was one. And another one I can think of was Hitler was visiting a ward, like a mental asylum. And he visited the ward of patients, and everyone stood up and they were like, Heil Hitler. Except this one man at the far corner of the room, he just didn't get up and salute Hitler. And Hitler was furious. He's like, why didn't you give me the salute? And then this man, he timidly gets up and he's like, but mein Führer, I'm only the nurse, I'm not man.
I'll give you 500 points. You're absolutely right. Whisper jokes are essentially this underground humor movement that took place where people could tell jokes about Hitler and Nazis, make fun of the establishment at that time. So there were instances of people being sentenced to death for just telling jokes on Hitler. One of the most famous ones, I must play this song. It's from this TV show called The Man in High Castle. Does anyone know anything about the show?
It's based on a book written by Kurt Vonnegut.
No, you fucking.
Isn't it Patricia Highsmith's? Isn't it by Patricia Highsmith?
No.
The books.
It's the story of what if Hitler had won the war and how the world would have changed.
Yes. Who wrote the book?
You didn't ask that question. What is the
He
book?
said Kurt Vonnegut. It's not.
He can say that, but you asked what is it about and I don't answer.
It's written by Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
no, you
Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, he had 500 points.
Yes!
Hey, he said points!
Yes!
And minus 500 for you. For saying Philip, for saying
Kurt Vonnegut, come on.
So let me play this song. I thought it's fairly interesting.
Hitler has only got one ball. Goring has two, but very small. Himmler is rather similar, but poor old Goebbels has no balls at all.
Hitler has only got one ball, the other is in the Albert Hall. His mother, that dirty grubber, cut it off when he was small.
This is a famous song that's used in many TV shows. Can you tell me which tune this is familiar with?
This is a naval tune, right? It was on ships and all this.
No, it's slightly below the name.
You're close. It's an
There's
army
something
song. It's
march.
famous, made famous in a very popular movie.
This is Bridge on the River Kwai.
Absolutely right.
Nice.
500 points to you for knowing Bridge on the River Kwai. Unlike other people who mistake Kurt Koenig for Kurt Vonnegut.
Can I make it up with another German joke?
Yes, yes.
So, I mean, everyone obviously knows the Berlitz English class sinking joke. But there's another.
No.
No?
No.
Then I can tell you two jokes.
Yes. 500 each. 5 points each.
So basically, there was this one clock, grandfather clock in Germany that wasn't functioning really well. It wasn't working well. All it would do was tick, 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 tick. So 2 SS officers picked it up from its place and took it to the interrogation chamber. After asking so many questions, the clock was still going tick, 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 tick. So the second SS officer just gets frustrated and he stands up, he bangs his fist on the table and says, "We have ways of making you talk."
Hey, good one,
Nice.
Not bad.
So nobody knows the sinking joke, huh?
No.
Please tell us.
So there's a Danish ship that's taken off from Copenhagen. It's moving towards Germany. At Rostock, where the other harbor is, where the ship was supposed to dock, there's a lighthouse as well. So the ship is coming towards Rostock, towards the lighthouse, but it's lost its radar, cloud cover and all that. So, the German Coast Guard calls up the Danish ship and says, "This is a German Coast Guard speaking." The Danish ship does not hear them in time, so it goes and hits the lighthouse. And obviously, they're sinking. So the Danish ship says, "Mayday, mayday, we're having problems, we're sinking." So the guy in the Coast Guard says, "Yeah, this is a German Coast Guard speaking. What are you sinking about?"
They'd use this in some English coaching.
Yeah, that is a Berlitz.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And with that, we're at the end of today's quiz. The points are as follows. Team 1, Diwane, is at 2,190 points. Team 2 is last with 390 points. So much for dating New Zealanders and Nazis.
And Philip K. Dick.
And or Kurt Vonnegut. Team 3 ends up in the second spot with 1,734 points. And Team 4, with a partial handicap, end up with 1,310 points. So winning today's quiz is Team Diwane, who's the most knowledgeable about Indian Constitution. Oh my God. In conclusion, we would like to end with this quote from a member of the Constituent Assembly, Mr. Naziruddin Ahmed from West Bengal, who told the President of India, "Mr. President, sir, once upon a time, a man went on a sea voyage and returned to his village after a long time. And people asked him what was the greatest wonder he had ever seen. He said the greatest wonder that he had experienced was that he returned home." So far as this constitution is concerned, the greatest wonder is that we have finished it.
Hashtag Ghar Wapsi.
At the end of this episode, we would like to recommend that you read the Indian Constitution. It is not just a work of literature, but it's also a work of art. Every part of the Constitution, including the preamble and the 22 articles in it, begins with an illustration on top which records the history of India from the times of Mohenjo-daro civilization all the way to the national freedom struggle. We would also like to recommend the B.R. Ambedkar movie, which is completely in English, starring a Malayali actor called Mammootty, who won the National Award for Best Actor. We would also like to recommend the Rajya Sabha TV show called Samvidhan, which stars Swara Bhaskar as well, and the book India After Gandhi by Ramchandra Guha, and most importantly, the movie Gully Boy that took India to the Oscars. Thank you all for watching India Wants to Know. Jai Bhim, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Republic of India.
Thanks for watching India Wants to Know, India's first panel quiz show. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified about our latest episodes.
आज ही सब्सक्राइब कीजिए southbay.live